Something's always felt a little off. You know that weird feeling when things don't quite add up, but no one says it out loud? That's exactly what's been buzzing around Meghan Markle's pregnancies for years now. At first, people just chalked it up to tabloid drama. Strange baby bump angles, the overly staged photos, the non-stop belly cradling. That felt more like performance art than natural affection. But lately, the whispers are starting to sound a whole lot louder. And they're not just coming from trolls on Twitter anymore. Now, there's talk that the woman who allegedly carried Meghan and Harry's child is ready to speak. That's right. Someone close to the situation, someone who might have actually been involved behind the scenes, is rumored to have let a few things slip. And what she's saying isn't vague. She's not talking in circles. She's hinting that the pregnancy the public saw, the one plastered all over Netflix, magazines, and gushy interviews, may not have been real at all. Allegedly, it was all a production. That one word has sent royal insiders into damage control mode. And it's reignited a firestorm that Harry and Meghan probably thought they left behind in Buckingham Palace. Now, let's be real for a second. Surrogacy isn't shocking anymore. Plenty of celebrities go that route and no one bats an eye. But what makes this situation a ticking time bomb is the way it was possibly presented as something else, as something natural, organic, authentic. When you go out of your way to show the world a curated pregnancy journey, selling a story of resilience, healing, and love, and that story turns out to be fiction, that's where people feel played, betrayed even. And that betrayal hits different when it's coming from a couple that's built their brand on truth and transparency. Meghan and Harry made a big deal about walking away from royal life because they wanted peace, privacy, and space to raise their family without the pressure of the crown. But the second they started landing major media deals, showing off personal milestones and leaning into the spotlight they once ran from, the rules changed. You can't have it both ways. You can't cash the check and still claim you don't owe anyone an explanation. What's worse is how tightly controlled everything has been since they left the UK. Every appearance, every documentary, every press release, it's all carefully packaged. So when someone close to the supposed surrogate says things like it was all staged, it slices right through that polished image. The timing couldn't be worse either. The royal family's already juggling its own PR nightmares, and now they've got this circus orbiting the Sussexes once again. Insiders say the palace is pissed, like full-on behind-closed-doors rage mode. Because this doesn't just make Meghan and Harry look bad. It puts a dent in the reputation of the whole royal machine. And let's not forget the internet. Once a story like this starts gaining traction online, it moves fast. Screenshots, old photos, slowed-down videos. Did you see the way the bump folded here? People are analyzing every frame like it's a Zoobruder film. And honestly, some of those clips are hard to ignore. Even Meghan's most loyal supporters are starting to squint a little harder at moments they used to swoon over. Something isn't sitting right. Not anymore. There's no official confirmation, no bombshell interviews. Not yet, but this isn't some fringe theory anymore. If there's even a kernel of truth in what's being whispered, then this could go down as one of the biggest trust breaks in royal-adjacent history. And for a couple that thrives on the narrative they control, this is the first time the story's being written without them. The most curious part of this whole thing isn't even the surrogate's alleged statement. It's the silence. Meghan and Harry, the couple who never miss a chance to tell their side, are suddenly quiet. No tearful documentary, no clapback statement through a spokesperson, just nothing. And that's making people nervous. Because when someone known for speaking up says absolutely nothing in the face of serious accusations, it doesn't scream innocence, it screams strategy. Damage control behind closed doors. Lawyers. PR teams. Lockdown NDAs. Whispers from inside their camp say legal teams are on edge. Not just trying to stop the story, but to track how it started. Was it a leaked phone call? A private conversation that went public? Or is the surrogate herself finally deciding she doesn't want to be a secret anymore? If that last one's true, things are about to explode. Because what happens when someone with first-hand knowledge decides the truth is more important than a contract? Hollywood's full of people who kept secrets. For a while. Until they didn't. And let's talk about Hollywood for a second, because that's where Meghan thrives. She wasn't a huge star before marrying Harry, but she wasn't clueless either. She knows how this game works, how narratives are built, maintained, protected. When she brought Harry into that world, it wasn't by accident. She introduced him to her friends, her circle, People who live and breathe media, branding, and influence. People who know how to create an image and sell it like it's gospel. Overnight, Harry went from stiff royal to Netflix darling, podcast guest, emotional interviewer. His life became a curated experience packaged for maximum relatability. It was a reinvention, and it worked. At first, the public bought into it. The couple who broke free from royal chains to live authentically. But now, that authenticity is cracking, because if even one piece of their story turns out to be fabricated, people will start rethinking everything. The Oprah interview, the docu-series, the books, the speeches about mental health and resilience. Suddenly, it all feels less like truth-telling and more like storytelling. The palace, meanwhile, is reportedly fuming, not just embarrassed, but furious. Because while Harry and Meghan may have stepped back from official royal duties, they're still tied to the brand. And the brand is fragile. The monarchy relies on public trust, dignity, history. So when someone hints that a royal-adjacent pregnancy may have been fake, that trust takes a direct hit. This isn't just Meghan's reputation at stake, it's the institutions. Then there's the emotional weight of it all. If there really was a surrogate, why hide it? Was it shame, fear of criticism, or was it something more calculated, like trying to preserve the fairy tale? A real-life royal pregnancy is powerful PR. It creates headlines, photo shoots, baby showers, glowing covers of People magazine. Surrogacy, while common and valid, doesn't sell the same story. It doesn't feed the fantasy. But here's where things get even more complicated. Because if this was staged, it means other people knew. Staff, advisors, maybe even family. And if they all played along, then this isn't just about Meghan and Harry. It becomes a web of people who help keep up the illusion. That's what terrifies insiders. The idea that this wasn't a personal choice was a coordinated image campaign. And if that campaign is exposed, the fallout will be brutal. Fans will feel lied to. The media will go wild. Every other narrative from the Sussexes will be put under a microscope. People will start asking what else was fake, what else was just good PR wrapped in vulnerability. And the worst part? Once that doubt creeps in, it's nearly impossible to get rid of. Royal scandals usually fade with time. This one might not, because unlike the tabloid mess, this hits somewhere deeper. It hits at trust. Not just between Meghan and Harry and the public, but within their own carefully built empire. When your entire image is built on authenticity, any sign of a lie doesn't just bruise the brand, it destroys the foundation. And this alleged surrogate story? It's not some distant rumor anymore. It's turning into a test, one that could decide how the couple is remembered. For Meghan, it cuts especially deep. She spent years painting a picture of strength, vulnerability, and womanhood. Her journey into motherhood was a centerpiece of that image. The bump photos, the candid interviews, the serene black and white baby reveals. But if any of that was staged, if even one detail was a calculated performance, the backlash won't be mild. It'll be personal. Because motherhood isn't just branding material, it's sacred to millions of women. And faking it? That hits a nerve. And then there's Harry, the prince who walked away from the palace to protect his family, who said he'd never let the press ruin another woman he loved. But now he's stuck in a swirl of silence and suspicion. Some say he's a victim, others believe he's in on it, but either way, his silence isn't helping. The Harry people fell in love with the soldier, the rebel, the cheeky royal. He's hard to find now. What's left is a man wrapped in brand deals, media contracts, and a seemingly endless chase for relevance. People close to him have started to notice the change. They say he's not the same, that Hollywood's reshaped him into something unfamiliar. Not necessarily worse, but different, more guarded, more rehearsed. He's traded centuries of tradition for a spotlight that never turns off. And while that may have felt freeing at first, it's becoming clear that the spotlight has its own chains. Behind the scenes, the pressure is mounting. Teams are trying to shut things down, seal leaks, silence sources. But social media doesn't wait. Theories are spreading like wildfire. Some are extreme, yes, but many are backed by timelines, photos, inconsistency, the bump that shifted shapes, the video where the belly appeared to fold, the carefully cropped shots. These things were once dismissed as hate-filled nonsense, but now they're gaining legitimacy, and that's the danger. Once conspiracy turns into conversation, it changes the rules. The public starts digging, journalists start snooping, people close to the couple get nervous, and when enough people get nervous, things start slipping. A photo, a message, a statement made in private suddenly resurfacing. All it takes is one credible leak, and the entire narrative collapses. That's the nightmare scenario for Meghan and Harry. Not just bad press, but irreversible doubt. Because once people start asking what else was fake, the damage is done. The Netflix deals might keep rolling in, the book sales might still climb, but the emotional connection, the real currency and fame, that starts to vanish. There's still a way to fix it. Not with spin, not with lawyers, with honesty. If there was a surrogate, say it. If the pregnancy was real, prove it. People don't expect perfection, they expect truth. And truth, even when messy, earns respect. But staying silent, that fuels the fire. And this fire isn't cooling down anytime soon. It's spreading, it's evolving, and it's taking the once golden image of Meghan and Harry along with it. Whatever the truth is, it better come out soon. Because in today's world, silence doesn't protect you, it exposes you. And in the court of public opinion, silence speaks volumes.